What's up, all my Power Addicts crew? Today's video is about what to do when you have a dub moment. A dub moment meaning, okay, we go to the auto parts store. We get a new thermostat to install into our engine here. We get back and discovered, dang it, totally forgot to get the gasket. Now what do we do? Yes, it's a case of some people who may have their only rig, their only driving is their vehicle itself. It could be a Jeep, it could be Chevrolet, Ford, whatever. It doesn't matter. Thermostat's a thermostat, and the gasket's a gasket. So, what do? You got your car tore down. You can't just slap it back together, go get a gasket. I mean, that's just sometimes that's a major pain. So, enter an old school muscle car trick or old school auto mechanic trick. I don't care what you call it. Ta-da! Cereal boxes, they're a lifesaver. Now, me personally, my auto parts store is a matter of less than a mile away, so it's not that big a deal for me to go get one. But I mean, I know people whose closest auto parts store is 30 minutes away. Do you really want to drive that far for a gasket that's less than $1? Now, if this is the first time you guys have landed on the Power Addicts YouTube channel, you might want to hit that subscribe button, because I do Jeep videos, car videos, motorcycle videos, truck videos. Whatever's on my mind or whatever rolls across my driveway at that time is what the video could be about. Now, there could be tools involved too, so you never know. Cool shop tricks. Hit that subscribe button so you will know. So with that being said, let's show you guys what's up for the day. And today we're shooting the video off of my Extra 4.0. And I say extra, actually this is the engine that came out of my Jeep originally. This is the original 1991 motor engine. Got ridiculously low oil pressure in it. Smokes a little bit, not too awfully bad. Actually runs halfway decent. But this engine right here is going to be slated for a later video for doing a re-ring, just to freshen it up. I'm not going to bore it unless I have to. But I just want to show you guys how to do a video on how to freshen up your engine with new bearings, new rings, new gaskets, what to check for if the engine needs to be bored or not. So that's what this block right here is going to be all for. Then later on down the road I'll have a big surprise for you. But that's not the topic for today. We're going to show you how to do a cereal box gasket on your thermostat or your water pump down here that you cannot see at the moment. So I got the water pump off this one right now. So if you just need a water pump gasket, which should come with a pump in most cases. But there has been times to where I go to the parts store, I get what I need, come back and say, crap, totally forgot my gasket. But you know what? Cereal boxes work great. And I just noticed in the viewfinder, gasket, that has nothing to do with this. Can y'all tell me what that gasket's for? For you really die-hard engine people. It's not Jeep. It's not even AMC. That's the front throttle body gasket from an LT1350. Hint, hint, hint. Later on down the road. So let's get that gasket out of the way. So let's quit the gabbing. Let's get this thing right here off. Ta-da! Bolts can be cleaned up, but well. Now, most times than not, this thing kind of pretty well pops off. But if it don't get all crazy with it. I'm trying to pry it because you don't want to break it. I mean, they're not very expensive. People just have to buy another one because the engine on my Jeep right now, I broke this thing and I had to go buy another one. It was like 20 bucks or so. It wasn't too crazy. So, wedge that thing off there. Ta-da! Pull your thermostat out. So I said pull your thermostat out. It's stuck. Back on. Okay, I want to get some of this gasket off here first before that thermostat's going to come out. So, I'm going to use my razor blade and scratch some of this junk off. And there's my razor blade. Get off there. Take the razor blade, just kind of slide around this right here. Get all the extra stuff. clean out your groove where your thermostat sets now. And try to preventing as little debris as possible from getting inside there. Therefore, circulates around your block into your water pump, heater core, and all that fun stuff. Okay, we kind of got that razor blade happy. Now I'll come back behind that and get one of my tools and really clean that gasket surface up. Okay, got the thermostat broke loose. And just for demonstration, normally under normal circumstances, if I were truly doing this because I had to change the thermostat, whatever the case may be, I would put a new thermostat in every time. Because, I mean, it's just cheap insurance. If you guys want to say, well, what thermostat are you running? Right there. That's what I run in all my 4.0s and 2.5s. Do not do 180 degree thermostats. That is a bad thing, okay? If you do a lower thermostat, lower temperature thermostat, what that does, your fuel injection system thinks your engine's not warmed up, so it sprays excess fuel all the time, therefore wasting fuel mileage, washing out your pistons. 195 thermostats do it, no less. So now we got that thermostat out of there. We're going to clean this junk off us right here. Well, I'm going through an awful lot of trouble just to make a video showing you guys how to make a gasket. I'm not using this motor anytime soon. This engine, motor, whatever the heck, engine. Zoom this back. Get here, clean out this out. Be careful how you run your blade because you don't want to slip and cut yourself. Anyway, y'all get the point. So I'm going to scrape the rest of this junk off. Like right here, this excess gasket material is getting down inside there where your temp sensor is. Alright people, that temp sensor, that is a water temperature sensor, but which one is it? Yes, I know it's the one in the water neck, but is that the one that runs your gauge? Or is that the one that runs the ECU? Your PCM or your Jeep computer? Wait for it. This is the one that runs your Jeep computer. So where's the temperature sensor that runs the gauge, you ask? And that is a very good question. As you just seen, that's where I took the thermostat off and all that stuff out. Come right here, here's your fuel rail. Come along through here. Fuel rail, fuel injectors. Dook. That sensor right there. Now, there are some later model Jeeps going to have a 2-wire, some have a 1-wire, whatever. This is where it's always going to be located. It's on the very back end of the head right here. See, that's where I got the engine stand mounted to. This is where the transmission, your clutch, or automatic transmission, or whatever you stick, or automatic, whichever one you have, it's where it bolts right here. This is where your transmission bolts. That is your sensor there. Now, some of you Jeeping people out there, I've read in comments of Facebook groups and forums and such, talking about your temperature gauge. When you're going down the road, you hit a bump and it wiggles around. And then, or when you get really nice smooth pavement, your temp sensor is set exactly where it's supposed to on your gauge. Hit another bump, it's jump around again like a squirrel playing in traffic. So, what causes that? That is a very good question. Watch real close. I'm going to zoom in on this thing. Watch that post move. That's not supposed to happen. What happens after so long a time of thermal expansion, the engine gets hot, things expand, engine cools down, things contract, engine gets hot, expands, contracts, back and forth, over and over and over. After a while, that little post inside there gets loose. And as it wiggles around like that, that makes your gauge jump around like a squirrel playing in traffic, and then you're wondering what the heck's going on with my gauge. So therefore, right there is your problem. That sensor right there is like 10, 15 bucks at the highest, something like that. So if you got a spastic temp gauge that's jumping around, right there is going to be the first thing I would go for myself. So replace that if you got this spastic temp gauge. So I can push it up and down. Watch it spring up. See that? Or it even wiggles around. So replace that baby if you got the spastic temp gauge. Alright, I'm going to clean this thermostat housing up real quick. Now let's talk about the cardboard we're going to be using. This, oops, drop thermostat. This is just a plain Jane cereal box. As you can see, generic version of Raisin Bran. Notice, I know this seems like totally crazy elementary that I'm even doing this, because you guys know what a cereal box is, but I want to point the difference out. Look, solid edge. And when I say cardboard, do not use that. Why would I not use that? Obviously because of the corrugation right through here. That would give a pathway for any fluids to come out those holes right there. So, for the people who've never used cardboard as a gasket before, I didn't want you guys to misunderstand what I'm pointing out. You want the cardboard with no corrugation and not using this. Okay, so this right here, get rid of it. We're using cereal box. Because the safest way I've ever seen to cut these boxes is just take your hand, go inside the box, take the razor blade, poke it up through the edge right there, because you got that 90-degree edge here. They'll help guide the blade as you cut it open. This blade right here seems to, you just see me clean the gasket material, so it's like dull as heck. And there's that. And if you want to at this point, just pull it apart. And there's the piece we're going to use to make the gasket from. Now I've got a little bit of oil smeared on it right now, and what the oil comes from is my my little coffee container here that I've got a small box Chevy lifter soaking in. Make sure you got a good even coat of oil all the way around all the places where you want your gasket to seal at. Don't let it puddle too much, because if it puddles a lot, it creates a, I don't know, like a blob image more than a nice sharp image. It doesn't create a perfectly sharp image, but really you don't need it if you play cards right. Now, I'm going to be open and transparent with you. I thought this board right here, which is no piece of shelving board, was nice and flat, so I could put my paper here, and I was going to flip it upside down, let this image soak into the cardboard. You can see right here where it partially soaked. Well, what I didn't realize was this board's warped. I mean, look at it rocking. So with it being warped like that, it's not going to create a good flat image. So you want a good flat surface to make your gasket print on. But if you don't have that, what you can do is take this. Let me zoom back a little bit so you guys see what's up. Take your gasket surface, your gasket material, or your cardboard, and set it down. Don't let it slide. You want straight down. Don't twist it. Just let it sit there and let it soak in. Let that oil soak into that cardboard, because that's going to give you your profile image of what you need to cut your gasket out as. Don't let it twist, but you can move your fingers around to make sure you mash it all in so that oil image soaked into the gasket material, or cardboard in this case. Now you could actually go to the auto parts store and buy rolls of gasket material to do the exact same thing with. Now don't slide out this way. Grab it from the side, straight up. Okay? Look at that. Not bad, huh? So what we got here is, let me get my profile going on here. You got your bolt holes you see here and here, here. You see this little divot spot right here. Let me zoom in a little tighter for you. You see the big opening right here where your temperature sensor's at. There's a bolt hole there, bolt hole there. You see the little void spot right here? That is viewfinder right there. So you actually got a pretty solid image going for your gasket. So what do we do now? Yeah, that's right. We're going to cut this baby out. Now take your razor knife. Now if you got something big enough, like which I don't, that I can see right off. If you was to have a piece of iron pipe with a threading on the end of it, you could lay it right over top of this right here, right in this area, lay it flat, or with the sharp edges of a nipple fitting or something like that for your cast iron pipe. Put it right there, pop it with a hammer, it'll make an impression, cut that out. But I don't have one, so I'm going to use my knife for that. Now we're going to cut this thing right here out. Is that going to work? Maybe. Yeah, it'll work. Because it's just about the same diameter as this right here. So just to show you guys how to use this, I will see the edge right here. I will take the edge of this blade here. Let me zoom in a little tighter for you. Take the edge of this cutter right here and lay it right on the edge where the oil mark is. Lay it forward. Now we've got a perfect cut hole right there. Then you take the blade now what you want to do is, if you notice, my oil line versus my cut line, I'm to the inside of it. So don't get all the way to where the oil line is, because what may have happened, most of the time, as you can see, the oil makes a great print. But if it's to the inside edge of it a little bit, you may actually overcut it a little bit and cause yourself to have a leak. So cut, because I'm not exactly convinced that this is where the line is versus that's where the outside edge is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut way to the inside of this, then put it on my thermostat housing and compare from there. Ta-da! Now we're going to cut this out. Ta-da! Pretty sweet, huh? Now, the outer edge here on the outer perimeter, I'm going to cut it out, but again, I'm going to stay to the outside part of it, so I got room to trim if I need to. I know some of you think that's an awful lot of trouble for a gasket, but the reason I do this is that for those of you out there who only have one vehicle, and you get home thinking you got all the parts, closest, the parts store is like, I don't know, 10, 15 miles away. You get the thermostat housing off, or whatever it is you're changing out that needs that type of gasket. Then you realize, oh crap, I forgot my gasket. And you've got everything torn down, and that's your only ride. You ain't got to ride back to the, have another way back to the parts store. But this is an easy solution. I have done this many times, and to be honest with you, I'd rather just buy a gasket and be done with it. But sometimes I'm like, crap, I don't feel like going back to the parts store, so I'm just going to make me a gasket. So if you think this is a lot of trouble just for a little gasket that ain't 50 cents or so, yeah, you're right, it is. This is one of the situations where we may be in a bind, and you need to make it happen. Sorry about the sniffles, people, but it is what it is. And there is most of the gasket. Now I used if you don't have access to these bullet casings like this, you can take a screwdriver and poke a hole through it. I've done that many times, or even take the bolt. Where the crap I laid it. You can take the bolt and say, press it against the paper. Let's see if I can do it on this one. Like if you had a hole right there where your oil print was, if you take push like that right there, which will kind of give you a little bit of a divot to go by. Then you take your blade, make sure I cut my gasket, and just kind of little by little notch it out. Now what that does, it does cut quite a bit undersized, but you take your bolt at that point and run it through. At that point, once you put your Permatex or whatever your gasket sealer is on your water net before you put it on, by having your bolts that tight through your gasket, it'll actually hold it in place for you on the thermostat housing as you feed your bolt through. So that's actually a kind of a bonus to doing it that way versus overcutting them. Again, I'm sorry people, I keep running off the viewfinder, off the camera, but my viewfinder is like upside down. If I turn my viewfinder a little bit further, it turns it right side up, but then I can't see the viewfinder at all. So, but you guys are getting the point. It's all good. Okay, so now here's our gasket, and here's our water neck. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and get me a rag and clean the excess oil, because you see the shine on it. I'm going to clean out the excess oil on that. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, cleaned the oil off the surface of this, and basically what I did was just got me a rag, wiped it down real well. So now, we're going to take our gasket here, flip it the right way actually, and look at our bolt holes. Look at that, perfect alignment, perfect alignment. We can do a little bit of trim work here, and what if you take your gasket, don't let it slide, because your bolt holes are lined up perfectly. Press down on these edges like this. Sorry, I'm out the camera again. Push down like right here. It makes those edges fold over and kind of creates an edge against the factory molded edge of the thermostat housing. Then again, now look real close. See where I pressed my thumb against that real hard? It created that edge for that molded. It created a place for that molded edge right there. So we can trim those out now. Just look at that. Just makes a nice little edge, doesn't it? So we'll trim this one back a little bit. And I actually debate on whether doing this video for you guys or not, because again, this is a heck of a lot of trouble for a gasket that ain't but just less than $1. But again, it's one of those things to where, you know, I've done it myself way too many times, be in a hurry to get something back together, run out. I should have bought a gasket, because sometimes you can get a thermostat with a gasket, sometimes you get one without. And get home, it's like, I don't feel like going back to the store, so hey, this is what I'll do. Especially if you got a long drive. But honestly, my closest auto parts store is probably, it's way less than a mile. So I would go get one, me personally, but if you're in a position where you got a long drive, 20-30 minute drive to an auto parts store, this is a great solution. So look at that. It's a beautiful fit, isn't it? Yes, it is. Put it back on. Okay, it's time to put a gasket sealer on the thermostat housing. So we're going to open up our tube. We're going to squeeze something out. What the heck? It won't come out. It won't come out. No! It's froze up. But I can squeeze the tube. This is typical. Okay? So here's what you do. Gasket sealer or RTV or whatever, it's doing what it's made to do. Look, it's hardened up inside the tip. But that's okay. So what do? Get your blade, poke your little hole in the side right there. Just a little tiny one now. I barely poked the blade through that little white spot right there. Just a tiny little spot. Squeeze it. Okay, just a little bit bigger. And the reason I'm being really gentle as to how big the hole is, I don't want like it come out of a big old gush. And I mean, it will seal it, because that's just what RTV does. But hey. And yes, I know somebody's going to chime in. Well, you could just poke the hole right through there and pull it out. Yeah, you can. Because I've done that too. But look at that. See, now after a little bit, that's going to seal that right back up and it'll be good to go. Do works really well for that right there. If you get you a drywall screw, screw the drywall screw down inside there, because the drywall screws got really coarse threads. Once you get screwed down inside there, you can pull. Sometimes you can pull that whole plug right out of the middle of it. Maybe I'll do that for Whatever Wednesday one time. For those of you who don't know what Whatever Wednesday is, that's where I just create a video based off of whatever my idea is for the moment, or my subscribers, being you guys subscribe to my channel, sometimes you guys drop in a suggestion. I say, hey, that's an awesome idea, and I'll create a video off of your suggestion and give you guys a shout out. So check out the Whatever Wednesdays. So we've got that excess going inside there. That's really not a good thing, so I'm going to get that out of there. Get this out of here so it don't get inside your water tracking, water pump, heater cord, all that kind of stuff. Not likely it's going to happen, but hey, precautionary is better. So there you go. Then where to put the gasket? We'll take our gasket, put it in place, line your bolt holes up, and let that set for a moment. Then now we're going to put our material, our RTV on the block. Notice what I'm doing here. Notice this right here is the groove. Right here is where your thermostat sets at. And notice I'm putting a little bit of RTV right on that top edge. Watch why. Okay, so you got no way of setting your thermostat in like this right here because there's no groove inside the thermostat housing. So what you do is, here's the back side of your thermostat. Now again, if I was doing this real life with my Jeep, I would be putting a brand new thermostat in, but what I did, I cleaned this one up. Put it inside that groove, bring it up, press a little bit. Now remember I put that RTV just right in the top part of that groove? Look, it's holding my gasket in for me. Oh, I'm sorry, holding my thermostat in for me. Now we're going to put our housing in place. Take your long bolt, feed it through. Watch how it goes through the gasket so you don't push it off. Line it up with your thermostat. Screw it in a couple threads, and you rotate, you feel the bolt catch in the block. Don't put a whole lot of pressure on these. I mean, really, if you look at what positioning, the positioning of my hand, how I've got my finger like this. This is to support it, keep from the twisting off the head of the bolt, supporting here. Take your finger. That will prevent you from getting teetotally nuts on cranking down on how tight these bolts are, because they don't have to be crazy tight. Okay, if you get like right here, then you put the He-Man to it, yeah, you're going to tear something up, break some, twist the bolt off, crack your housing. Finger like this, that prevents you from getting too much pressure. But even then you can do a lot, but then you feel the leverage on the ratchet more this way than you do this way. Because the reason being is, when you've got your hand positioned like this and you're cranking, watch my hand, see how it pivots? more I push this way, the more my hand wants to pivot. Versus like this, it's not going to pivot because I got all power going straight into the handle. So if I take my fingers like this, push, see how my hand pivots harder push? That tells me, okay, that's about right. And I've had way too many monster drinks. Well, there you go. Now, one more thing I want to point out that really has nothing to do with the gasket we just did. Let me zoom in on you a little bit. This sensor right here. Like I pointed out earlier, that is the sensor that goes to your computer that tells your engine how hot or how cold your engine is for water temperature, not air temperature. Air temperature is a different sensor. This particular sensor right here has got what you call an MPT thread, which is a pipe thread. A regular thread, let me zoom back on you a little bit. A regular thread, again, the viewfinder's got me screwed up, are parallel. Along the bolt pattern is parallel. A pipe thread is tapered like this. What does that mean to you? Simple. If you got a pipe thread situation like this, which is the MPT threads, because of it setting, the thread's been cut at an angle. If you keep cranking it tighter and tighter and tighter, you'll end up splitting the water net casing. So what you do is you see that orange on there, that comes from the factory. Whenever you buy these sensors new, that orange, which is a thread sealer, is on there. So what you do, you get it in there, crank down on it. No, don't even crank down on it. You feel it stop, you feel the resistance, and give it a good little tug. Done. Because if you crank too tight on it, just like a wedge, if you're splitting firewood or something, if you got a wedge in firewood, how it splits the wood open, these threads being a tapered type scenario, the harder you drive it into it, the more it's going to split this water neck open. So don't crank that tight. You feel it boom, you feel it, lock in place, give it a quick little extra tug, you're done. Don't over tighten that or you will be buying a new water neck. So what'd you think about that shop tip? Neat little trick there. I've been working on cars since before I could drive, okay? And so since 14, 15 years old, I was raised in an environment where either you fixed your car or you didn't drive. Wasn't no money around to take it to the mechanic, okay? So sometimes we just made do with what we had to do. So that's an old school trick that I've used for years. And that has yet ever failed me. Perfect every time. A little extra work, yes, but I mean, it's a cereal box that you just finished off the cereal, and from that point, you're just gonna trash the box anyway. So hey, works out for you. Now, if you haven't subscribed yet after all these cool videos, come on, hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified each time I release one of these cool shop tips. Motorcycle, Jeep, car, truck. You never really know what the video is gonna be about next, but I promise you, it's always educational. So hit that subscribe button so you will be notified. Comments, questions? Absolutely, right down below. But if you got a question, feel free to ask. But if you got a comment, make it friendly for everyone. Make it something educational for everyone to learn from. That's the way I run my channel. I like to run it as a community of people who gather together to help one another, okay? So keep it educational, keep it positive, and spread the knowledge. That's what we all should do. Speaking of spread the knowledge, if you guys see these videos, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever your social media thing is, share these videos out, which helps spread the knowledge, helps other people. That's what we all should do. I take these ideas and I put them in a video format for you guys, but then it's up to you guys if you want to share the knowledge with everyone else. I do the hard work. All you guys got to do is click a button and spread the knowledge. Cool? So with all that being said, you guys like that video, subscribe if you haven't, give me some cool educational comments or questions if you got one. And for most of all, everyone out there in YouTube land, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Peace out. Later, y'all.